Yo, what up guys? Jordan here, and this will be my update for September 18th. Good to be back at the desk. Good to be back doing these sorts of videos for you guys here again. And we're going to try this one today recorded instead of live. I've usually been doing these sorts of videos live, but I want to do this one recorded today, switch it up a little bit. You guys let me know what you prefer with these sorts of videos I do, these news reports. So that being said, what are we going to discuss in this video here? Well, I want to talk about a couple of big arrests that have happened in recent days, the situations about some accusers out there in the public domain right now. Also want to take a look at Edward Snowden's situation, what's going on with vaping, what I think is happening with that in the media, and also the big push about UFOs in the mainstream media over the last couple of days. You already know the fake news media will not be giving you the proper context with that topic. So I guess I'm going to have to do it right here on my YouTube channel. So this will be a good one, folks. We got a lot of things to talk about. We're going to move quick, so let's get started. First of all, shout out to a sponsor of today's video in Virtual Shield VPN, Virtual Private Network Service. Basically, what you do is download their app and surf the internet on whatever device you normally surf the internet on through their app, and that helps you do many very helpful things. Number one, it keeps your IP address anonymous, so it protects your identity, keeping you safe and secure when you're browsing the internet. It also keeps your data private, so no big companies are going to be able to track your data and sell it or do whatever the heck with it, and not just keeping you safe and secure and your IP address anonymous, but if your IP is blocked out of any website and you're censored out of that website, you can change your IP address with a VPN and tunnel around that censorship getting into that website. So a VPN is just super helpful for many different things. I highly suggest it. I highly suggest Virtual Shield because they, number one, do not track your data or log your data, which is important with a VPN. And number two, they're super cheap. You can get their service for 2 years for just $3.50 a month. So Virtual Shield, check them out. There'll be some links in the description for them down below. Now, first order of business, I want to track some instances of censorship that we've had in recent days on these big tech companies. In my opinion, it's always good just to track this censorship on a daily basis or whenever we can. And the first one comes by way of Twitter. Twitter shutting down the account of the White House reporter for One America News Network. One America News Network, I like them. I like them much more than the fake news media. I don't like any news network 100%, but I like them a lot more than the fake news outlets, and it's just absurd. It's absurd that their White House reporter got their account suspended, canned, and no specific reason was given. If we ever get those from these big tech companies when they terminate accounts, you know, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, it's just absurd. And the other instance of censorship comes by way of YouTube. Speaking of them, they blocked the live streaming ability of the Right Side Broadcasting Network, RSBN, and they were a really good grassroots organization, grassroots channel that would basically go to every single Trump rally and live stream from that Trump rally. They went to so many of them. It was pretty much the only account that I would watch live stream Trump rallies from for a little while there. So sucks that I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. Absurd that they got their live streaming abilities canned because that was the crux of their business model. They were getting a lot of funding from their super chats, right? Super chats, which you donate money live on YouTube. So that just totally nixes a lot of their abilities, a lot of their growth potential right there. So big tech censorship, and no doubt as we come into 2020 election, right? That's why this is going on. Now let's move on into those arrests. So first of all, the Pennsylvania State Senator Mike Fulmer, he's a Republican state senator out of Pennsylvania, arrested on, get this, child porn charges. So first thing to take note of here, this goes to show you that corruption has no political affiliation. It goes down the left wing. It goes down the right wing, right? There's plenty of political corruption in all sides of the aisle, both sides of the coin, and it's been that way for a long, long time. Understand that. Number two, I do find it intriguing that Donald Trump lately in his tweets and at his rallies, he's made some sort of swipes at corrupt Republicans out there. So I wonder if this might have anything to do with that, or if we might see more sort of cleansing of the Republican Party, shall we say, because that's what had to happen, right? There was so much corruption in the Republican Party as well as the Democrat that Trump and his allied guys, political network, the alliance basically had to first sanitize the Republican Party with the Freedom Caucus, with a bunch of good people getting in there over the last few years. And then they're using that sanitized Republican Party that they're still working on to take down the Democrat side. So, you know, it's both sides are being taken down in this great awakening. Moving on to the next arrest, Ed Buck. So, right-wing arrest. Now we got a left-wing arrest. Ed Buck, Democrat donor, arrested, charged with running a drug den after latest guest overdose. Ed Buck, this is a big arrest. Why? Because this guy donated money to so many different blue campaigns. There's even photographs of him out there with Hillary Clinton. As if they don't know what sort of sick stuff all their friends get into. No, because they aid and abet it. Come on. So Ed Buck getting arrested. Big news. And finally, freaking finally, look at him there in the car. Shame that guy. But finally, because this is the third person that has allegedly died at his place of residence in LA. I don't know how the heck this guy became such a prominent name in LA there. Probably because he's corrupt as all hell. But this is the third guy to die. He died on September 11th. The previous two passed away in recent years. The first one was in July of 2017. A young black man was found dead of a meth overdose. He was only 26, super young. And then 18 months later, that was in January of this year, 2019, a 55-year-old man also suffered a drug overdose of methamphetamine. But prosecutors couldn't file criminal charges because they didn't have sufficient evidence back then. But we got plenty of evidence now in this case. The third guy who recently just died got Ed Buck arrested. All right, and let's take a little look at that evidence that we have that led to Ed Buck's arrest. Well, in digging on this story today, I found this article that came out of the Daily Mail nearly a week ago. This was a week ago on, of all days, September 11th. Wow, interesting. What a coincidence, because that was the same day that that recent guy died, right? Well, they ran this exclusive. Ed Buck, 65, is visited by a young black man wearing an arm bandage and carrying paper towels, as Dem donor still has visitors. Wow, and here's that exclusive photograph. You can see guy right there, arm bandage around his arm, probably where he was injecting drugs. Got some cleaning up to do, I guess, with all that TP. But how crazy that the Daily Mail put out this photograph the day that this guy allegedly dies. Number 17 on the door right there as well. I didn't miss that. But maybe that's some of the evidence that we have public leading to his arrest. But anyway, good news there. More slop getting cleaned up. God, just the evil, man. The evilness in people. It's absurd. And how about Ed Buck also being talked about in Q's drops just a couple of months ago? Drop 3392 here. Democratic donor Ed Buck accused of human trafficking and revenge porn after man dies in his home. This was after the last individual died in his home. Apparently the mother of that last individual who died in January of 2019 this year was suing Ed Buck, accusing him of human trafficking and revenge porn. So, finally enough evidence to put this guy behind bars. So that's that. Let's move on from the arrest to the accusers now. So first accuser we're going to talk about is the fake accuser. This is Justice Kavanaugh's new accuser that has come out as reported by the New York Times in recent days. And holy crap, what a shit show this has turned out to be for the New York Times. Because first of all, the alleged victim said that she did not recall the purported sexual assault in question at all. The New York Times didn't even report on that. And when they try to edit their article, of course, it already gets shared around and retweeted a thousand times before people catch up on that tiny little asterisk at the bottom there. So just the fakest of fake news, total smear campaign coming out of the New York Times against Justice Kavanaugh. Why? Well, remember back to when Justice Kavanaugh, during his confirmation hearings, was being questioned by Lindsey Graham about martial law, about basically people being tried, Americans being tried as enemy combatants if they're fraternizing with an enemy. Well, deep state doesn't want to be painted as an enemy, right? So they're, of course, going to undermine Justice Kavanaugh as much as they can. That's why these false allegations are coming out. And not only did his accuser not remember it at all, but check this out. The individual who is representing this unnamed accuser, his name is Max Steyer. And get this, Max Steyer is one of Hillary Clinton's former defense attorneys. Small world, right? Reminds me of how Andrew McCabe's new lawyer is the same lawyer that represented Christine Blasey Ford, right? One of the first accusers that came out against Justice Kavanaugh during his confirmation hearings late last year. Oh my God, the tangled webs all these deep state folk weave. Must be like 2 or 3 degrees of separation in all their little secret society circles, huh? Incredible, incredible stuff. So we had that fake accuser. And then we also have Kevin Spacey's accuser. Much different situation with this one. Kevin Spacey's sex assault accuser, dead. Reported dead. A massage therapist who sued Kevin Spacey for sexual assault in Southern California. There was a notice filed in the lawsuit. Lawyers for Spacey filed a notice of statement noting plaintiff's death. Also on September 11th. Wow. What a numerologically significant date that all these individuals are dying on, huh? But anyway, quite interesting that lawyers for Spacey actually filed this. Plaintiff's death in the federal case. Huh. You can do your own guesswork with that one. Let's move on to Edward Snowden. So, big controversy. Just yesterday, the Department of Justice filed a civil lawsuit. They're suing Edward Snowden for a breach of a non-disclosure agreement. They're saying that he breached his NDAs for publishing a book, and it violated his both CIA and NSA NDAs. So Edward Snowden being sued by the DOJ, this lawsuit going public on the 17th. And Edward Snowden, of course, if you've been reading Q's drops and really putting together the bigger picture behind Edward Snowden, what he was doing as a contractor for Booz Allen Hamilton was to infiltrate the NSA and undermine their data harvesting capabilities. Basically, the ability for the NSA to surveil and monitor the deep state folk. The CIA was trying to undermine the NSA, the good guys in military intelligence. So that's what happened with Snowden. As I've continuously said, when you just look at Snowden, if he was so damaging and threatening to the deep state, how the heck would he have 4 million followers on Twitter? How would he have a blue check mark on Twitter? How the heck would he have a Hollywood movie filmed and named after him? Just connect these dots. The deep state wants him out there doing what he's doing, right? They're not giving you the full situation on Snowden. Snowden did not help the public by coming forward as a whistleblower. He was actually not helping the public by undermining the Patriots, the White Hats' abilities to take down the deep state, right? And you can see that. You can see all these little pieces of evidence that show you that he's a deep state asset. The movie, the Twitter love he's getting. And not just that, but when you take a look at his book, his recent book that came out that the DOJ is suing him for, it's called Permanent Record. Well, first of all, it's being put out by a major publisher in New York. How's that going to happen if the deep state doesn't like you? And not just that, but if you look at the main reviews on Amazon about this book, the main reviews come from the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Guardian, and the Economist. Yeah, the CIA-linked Washington Post, the Rothschild-linked Economist, the New York Times. Like, yeah, I'm going to trust them, right? So just many more dots to suggest to you that Snowden is an asset doing a very specific task right now, and a lot of people don't get the full picture behind all that. So hope those dots help you connect that full picture. Let's move on into talking Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton resurrects 2016 ghosts to warn 2020 Democrats, as Breitbart reports here. So basically, Hillary Clinton gave a speech at an event at Georgetown University, I think just yesterday. And she was talking about all sorts of crazy stuff that lets you and I know that she is desperate as all hell. She was talking about WikiLeaks hacking John Podesta's emails and releasing Pizzagate. Wow, the horrible kinds of outcomes we saw from fake news when you weaponize information against you. When people believe in Pizzagate, she was talking about the individual that went into Comic Ping Pong. What was his name? Edgar Welch, and shot a server, and then he went outside and he was handcuffed. But recent news reports actually show that he was unhandcuffed, while he was out there on the sidewalk, and then he was taken down to the police station. So don't forget, he was an actor. All these setups. I mean, a lot of these instances that happen to paint Pizzagate researchers as crazy or paint Q followers as crazy, they're all set up incidents. They're fabricated incidents. So this sort of propaganda can be ran down the line. Not just was Hillary Clinton going off about WikiLeaks and Pizzagate, but also the deep fakes. Wow, the phony, false online news stories and the deep fakes, the videos that are artificially intelligenced or fabricated to present blatantly false and manufactured information, you know. Getting ahead of the narrative. Getting ahead of the narrative because she's desperate, because she's scared. One of her big LA donors just got arrested, guys. And we got state senators being arrested for child porn charges. I mean, swamp's getting swept up day by day, so just be patient, everybody. No doubt Hillary Clinton is depressed and desperate as all hell. And let's move on here into discussing a little bit about mind control technologies. So I saw this news report yesterday. I want to touch on it briefly and tell you a couple things about it. So the LA Times reported on here that a man accused of killing 6, he basically killed his whole family back in 2014. He's claiming that he was controlled by voices. A psychiatrist that evaluated him testifies. A psychiatrist that evaluated him, huh? Interesting. As Q has told us, follow the psychiatrist. But not just that, when many of these instances of high crime and violence like this occur, and many of these mass shootings, for instance, you might hear that the shooter goes through delusional hallucinations and then starts hearing voices or starts hearing demons or something like this, okay? And this reminds me, paints a picture, gives us evidence that voice to skull or voice of God technologies, interchangeable words for the same basic technology. I've done videos on this before, and if you research about it, you can find that these technologies have existed in the defense industry for a long, long time. They're basically mind control technologies whereby subliminal frequencies are shot at a person and they can start literally hearing things and become delusional and hallucinate based upon what these subliminal frequencies are doing to their consciousness, to their brainwaves, right? So you can implant thoughts and words and maybe even ideas or emotions into people's minds through technology. It very much exists, and it's existed for a long, long time. Well, this guy said that he was hearing voices telling him to kill his family. And like I said, this isn't the first time that this has been reported by a killer. The Parkland shooter, for instance, the Parkland shooter said he was hearing demon voices. We've had a lot of other instances too. So something to research, something to think about, targeted individuals, mind control technologies, patsies, committing atrocities like mass shootings. It's all very possible. It's all very possible. And then this instance happened in New York just yesterday. A car plowed into the lobby of Trump Plaza in New York. And when the car plowed into the plaza about 9 in the morning, out of control black Mercedes, right into the building, the guy got out and he basically just sat on a couch. They say, workers at Trump Plaza say after the car plowed into the lobby, the driver got out and just took a seat on the sofa and said nothing. Just really weird. We don't know any other instances about this, but, we just have a lot of weird events like this occur, whether it's cars trying to ram into Trump's motorcade, whether it's this car ramming into Trump Plaza, whether it's individuals trying to jump the fence of the White House or jump fences of Trump's properties. I wonder, connecting back to what I was just talking about the subliminal mind control technologies, voice to skull tech, I wonder if any of these instances trying to attack Trump or his properties or his buildings like this, I wonder if these have to do with mind-controlled individuals. I just wonder, I wonder. Be interesting to see what evidence comes up with a little more digging there. And then last couple things I want to talk about. Number one being CBD and vaping. So vaping being a big controversy lately. We've heard of a few deaths from vaping, but also a lot of harm being done by it, like popcorn lung, and a lot of people having issues. Well, Associated Press ran a newswire. That newswire goes out. You get 30, 40 different mainstream media news outlets all reporting pretty much the same damn thing. And this Associated Press newswire was trying to place the blame on CBD vapes, okay? And this is painting the whole situation about the vape controversy clearer, at least for me, and what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is blame the natural plant, the natural remedy. They're trying to throw shade on these natural things and not tell us about the real harms of vaping. In all these mainstream media pieces, these articles completely fail to mention how there's heavy metals found in vapor smoke, how when we're vaping, all these heavy metals really harm us. That's one of the main side effects of vaping. But in this, they're trying to blame CBD, and they're trying to blame these synthetic marijuana extracts for harming people and harming their lungs. Now, I don't doubt that, okay? I don't doubt that there are a few unethical companies out there that probably use some synthetic ingredients or don't even have CBD in their products, put them out there, people are getting hurt by it. But it's the MO of the FDA big medical mafia, right? The medical mafia that we have. Their modus operandi, how they typically go about their work, is that they'll use the few examples of unethical behavior in an industry as an excuse to overregulate and suppress the whole industry. Just like when it comes to supplements or other herbs that are out there. They'll use a couple instances of people being dumb or a company being unethical and then use that to sanitize and control the whole thing. That's what they're trying to do with these synthetic marijuana using companies. Use a couple bad apples to, boom, trash the whole CBD industry and make people think it's the CBD's fault that their lungs are getting harmed by the vaping, not the heavy metals or all the other issues done with vaping. So that's what I'm seeing happen with all this. And vaping, I mean, man, I tried inhaling, I think, one of those CBD or THC vapors back in the day, but I can't stand that stuff. It harms my lungs. It's just harsh. So I don't suggest it at all. And if you need to, go for it. You know, CBD is really helping you with something, absolutely. But be aware that you want to, one, make sure you get a good CBD product, and number two, understand what's really going on with the vaping and how it's harming you so you can mitigate that, all right? So there's vaping. And then last thing I want to touch on here is UFOs. So huge push in the mainstream media in recent days. Vice here saying the Navy says the UFOs in Tom DeLonge's videos are unidentified aerial phenomena. So big push right now, huge, blown up in the news outlets and on prime time. The U.S. Navy has officially acknowledged that UFOs are real and violate American airspace. So there's a lot of twisted context in these stories that have gone on about UFOs in the mainstream media for almost 2 years now. You know, really since the New York Times broke it all with their story in December of 2017, breaking these videos as well. And I'm going to do a lot more work about this in the coming week or two, but basically, whenever you see a mainstream media article, or really any article, promote Tom DeLonge as trying to bring forth this honest, true disclosure in some way about UFOs, it's probably bullshit. And the person writing it is either one, a liar, or is just a useful idiot and doesn't really know what's going on with all this. When I see any journalists that are linked or sourced in these mainstream media, these fake news media articles about UFOs and about Tom DeLonge, I'm going to take them with pretty much the whole bag of salt. Like, why the heck are some of these, quote, alternative journalists or independent journalists getting features in the fake news media? Like, you got to question that. So there's just so much to question, and I don't see people asking the proper questions with this. Plus, you also got to understand these particular UFO videos that are being shown everywhere. Number one, they're not officially sanctioned disclosures. They're not being officially sanctioned by the military. Number two, they weren't officially classified, so they weren't officially declassified, right? It's basically some rogue intel guy or group snuck these videos out of the back door of the Pentagon or wherever they were stashed, not even classified, wherever they were stashed, and leaked them, gave them to the media or to these corporations like Tom DeLonge's TTSA to run with, and that make people think that this is disclosure and the military's behind it, right? So it's a psyop move. It's a big propaganda move by the deep state to try to force the good guys into a corner with a limited hangout disclosure. All right, you got to understand that. When you look at all the people connected to this, all these ex-CIA guys, you got John Podesta pushing it, you got Harry Reid pushing it, you got these guys that are connected to big banking families pushing it, and just all this sorts of stuff. definite questions to be asked. And like I said, all these gatekeepers being pushed. You got all these folks in these articles with these features. You got, you know, people on primetime network television talking about UFO sightings, pushing this Tom DeLonge stuff. I mean, it's just a big psyop, man. So it's something we need to understand properly, and more than happy to help you do it here and help you do it in more videos coming up. So that's all, guys. Appreciate you following along. Remember, you can support my work on Patreon. You can check out my shop on my website, and stay tuned. More videos coming. Take care, everybody. Done.